running the RWJ Health Policy Fellowship Program was really a highlight of my career. My twin brother and I are now the only surviving twins of the Holocaust. When my parents came here, they always felt you have to appreciate coming to this wonderful country, this land of opportunity, this democracy. You are the one who has to participate in the American way, the American culture, and I still feel that way. And I was always intrigued with government because it was a democracy. My first job was in the Congress working for Jim Scheuer from New York and the Health and Environment Subcommittee. AEI, which was considered a conservative think tank, but it wasn't really ultra-conservative. They got a huge grant to run something called the Pew Health Policy Fellowships Program. I was running the Pew program. That was a new program, and that was focused more on mid-career people who wanted to work on the state level. So here I was at AEI, really enjoying being there. And soon after I got there, there was word that Sam Thier had become the new president of the IOM. And then I get a call from Sam Thier, who asked whether I would consider taking over the Robert Johnson Health Policy Fellows, and we set a date. We had a wonderful conversation, and he did ask me to take over from Dick Siegel, who had run the program for many years and was an amazing head of the program. You know, this was a very important job to him, but he was very gracious. I shadowed him for almost a year. I must say, I didn't know that much about the fellowship program. Of course, I read up on it, and it sounded very exciting. Since I had run another program, I kind of already knew, some of the things that I wanted to do. We had many programs where the Pew Fellows met with the RWJ Fellows, and that was a great opportunity for them to see how, what people were doing to improve the expertise and the ability of states to have a more effective voice in healthcare. So we published quite a few books. I mean, there's the history of the Pew Fellows Program, there's a history of the RWJ Health Policy Program. But there was a lot of, kind of integration, in a good sense of the word, between the two programs. And I think it was just giving the program more visibility and, trying to see what offices, also the fellows tended to go to the same offices, so we wanted to broaden their choices. So it was a little bit doing some branding. That was the time when the role of the states were becoming more prominent. States wanted to do their own healthcare reform legislation. So in terms of orientation, we kind of had many more people who kind of provided the fellows with that background perspective. I was always proud, and it was so much bloody work, as you well know, putting together the orientation. They met with hundreds of people, from the very highest. So it was amazing. For a while there was no other program that had that kind of orientation. That really made the RWJ Health Policy Fellowship Program, on another level. So, every year it was this challenge of, can I do even better? Can I get, every head of every department? And we did a pretty good job. Also, when I took over, that was the beginning of a lot of other fellowship programs. We were so unique in the beginning, but after a few years, there were so many organizations that had fellowship programs, which was a little bit of a problem because they all competed then for the same assignments on the Hill. So we had to work, with that. That is an amazing education, to work on the Hill, to see how legislation is made, but also how to organize your thoughts, how to write. And I remember when I ran the Robert Johnson Health Policy Fellowships Program, that was a big emphasis, how to write a memo, how to organize your thoughts. I felt that I was very appreciated, and I felt that the fellows relied on me to make the best of the year in Washington, and that was also their trust in me, which I took seriously. It was really mentoring people and guiding them to make the best choices, which wasn't always working for the leaders in the Congress. I mean, it was a little bit of a trade-off between being a big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a bigger pond, where very often you were left to do kind of what was left to do, whereas in another office you could really have major responsibilities. So, that was always a challenge. It was memorable because you really were dealing with wonderful, highly talented and intelligent people who wanted to make a stamp on the future of healthcare or the future of health policy. And you were the kind of vehicle that could help make that a successful objective. So you felt a responsibility, but you were also dealing with great material. I was happy that the fellows really had very central roles in all these major landmarks of health policy and health legislation. When you're privileged enough to have kind of this wonderful job, you don't know how much it's a gift that comes from you to them or a gift from them to you. Because these people, brought so much to the program